They've pumped up the testosterone. It's got a fat black grille. They've changed the exhaust pipes to round and framed them in a race-inspired diffuser. There's round fog lights up the pointy end. You can even tick the box for the cheapest factory matte paint job available in Australia today. Just remember not to polish it. Ever. And then there's the engine, a twin-scroll turbocharged direct injected 1.6 with almost 50% more power and 60% more torque than the Atmo Veloster. The Veloster Turbo even gets bigger brakes and quicker steering. More on that coming up. But if you're in the market for a Veloster Turbo now, call 1300 967 990 or fill in the inquiry form over there on the right at carreviews.com.au. An independent car buying specialist can save you thousands and ensure you never get ripped off by a car dealer. But does the Veloster Turbo pass the Gestalt test? Is the driving experience actually greater than the sum of its hormone-enhanced parts? Let's find out. Okay, so you've got strong performance, great handling and a razor-sharp price. The Veloster Turbo, well, it's only Hyundai's first crack at producing a fair-dinkum turbo performance car. But you've got to hand it to them, they've ticked just about every box. The new turbo engine doesn't exactly slam you off the mark. It all comes on in a rush once you get over 2000 RPM. It's not scary fast, but it is surprisingly quick. The outputs are actually quite modest, peaking at 150 kilowatts and 265 newton meters. But it still manages to pile on the pace, especially between the exit from the last bend and the entry to the next one. You'll need to stay well ahead of the game mentally and keep at least one eye on your licence. The Veloster Turbo manages to handle and steer really well too. The ride's a bit choppy, but sporty performance cars are supposed to be like that. It's crisp. The rear end's not quite as well glued to the road as the front, and you'll find out all about that going hard over your first mid-corner bump, which could be very interesting. But the steering's just right and you don't have to worry about torque steer. In the Turbo, Hyundai has moved away from a dual-clutch transmission. You can have either a 6-speed manual or a conventional 6-speed auto for $2,000 more. There are some awesome colours in the range too, including one called Young Gun, a metallic matte finish that winds up being about $100,000 cheaper than essentially the same colour on a BMW M3 Coupe. There's also a colour called Chameleon, which has a pretty neat flip in the paintwork for a factory paint job. There's also a pearl colour called Storm Trooper White, and I can already hear the lawyers acting for George Lucas planning the campaign around that. The white's a no-cost option, but the other two quirky finishes will knock you back $1,000. Like the Atmo Veloster, you get a 5-star safety rating, 6 airbags, the same 2 doors on the left and 1 on the right, confusion over whether you're actually in a hot hatch or a sports coupe, and a list of standard features longer than your arm. Japanese car companies must fair dinkum detest Hyundai and what they do commercially. But if you're in the market for any kind of mainstream car, you really got to admire these guys and the downward pressure they're putting on prices across the board. Just look at the new Toyota 86 sports car and its twin, the Subaru BRZ. Rock bottom pricing. And tell me this thing isn't part of that story. One of the best things about the Veloster Turbo is the price. It's just $32,000 plus on-road costs for the manual. I don't know how they can do that for the price. It's awesome. That's just $3,000 more than the standard car, which is an absolute bargain when you factor in the brake and steering upgrades as well as the amped up engine. It's a real philosophical alternative to the new Toyota 86 and the Subaru BRZ. It's got the performance and most of the dynamic finesse, and the same kind of cred, only different. It drives from the other end, and while the Japanese pair drip with almost Pininfarina styling, the Veloster dares to be different. It's more of a rolling science fiction prop, the kind of thing Scary Spice might design, on crack, for the next Transformers movie. Not that that's a bad thing. If you're in the market for a new car, an independent car buyer can save you thousands. Call 1300 967 990 now or fill in the form over there on the right at carreviews.com.au. Independent car buyers use bulk buying power to get you fleet discount prices or better. Because they work for you and not the dealer, an independent car buyer is highly motivated to get you the lowest possible price on the car and a rock bottom rate on the finance. Independent car buying specialists take care of all the negotiation. You can have the car you want at the sharpest possible price, delivered right to your door with a full tank of fuel, all without going face to face with a car dealer ever again. Don't get ripped off by a car dealer. Call 1300 967 990 or fill in our inquiry form and see how much an independent car buyer can save you. There's no obligation, but you could save thousands. It's the smartest way to buy a new car. I'm John Cadogan. Thanks for watching.